Captain Harrington. Multiple 24X gang members detected.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me Future Soldier, and this 2023 film was directed by Ed Kirk and stars Sean Earl McPherson, Yasmin Alice, and Ali Pickering, among others, of course. The story of this movie is about this super soldier who they call a Hoplite, because that's the program that they use to make them into super soldiers, and it also takes place in a futuristic dystopian Europe, where it has all become one giant megacity. And in this megacity, they also contract everything out to corporations, policing, social services. It's all done by corporations. But now there is no more police because, of course, the corporations weren't doing a very good job. So the general public, rioted about it. And now they just kind of scrapped the whole program. So he's just kind of like an ex-super soldier now living in the city. And he decides that he wants to get rid of the crime lord in the mega city. So he is going around, fighting different crime elements, finding friends, teaming up with them. He also has to deal with kind of the military because they have their own thing going on as well. But what will happen exactly? Well, you have to watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss this film. Well, with this one, it certainly is Blade Runner inspired. And I really enjoy Blade Runner. I'm a big fan of that series, and this one I think does a pretty good job kind of emulating that feeling that you get. It's not all reds and blues. They do have that kind of that style in there. Same with the synth music. It's not all synth music, but there certainly is some as well, and I think it's very kind of reminiscent of that Blade Runner feeling. So if you do like Blade Runner, this is a story that has a similar feeling, just much lower budget than the ones you'll see in the theater. And I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. I definitely enjoyed that aspect of it. It has things like flying cars. I like that. The super soldier things is interesting because, it's like the Blade Runners, right, in Blade Runner. And so, yeah, all of that's pretty interesting. So if you are a fan of Blade Runner, you'll find some things to enjoy in this one. Other than that, I think there's lots of good ideas in this world. For example, them contracting out like all their social services, I thought was interesting, and how it kind of played out in the history there. And with the Hoplite soldiers, I thought it was really cool because they had a company, the corporation they work for was called like Phalanx. And I'm not sure how, familiar you are with, ancient Greek history, but I think Hoplites were the soldiers and Phalanx was like the formation that they used. So interesting stuff there if you're, a history buff. And what else? The whole organization of the super city I thought was really interesting. It did give me other, sci-fi vibes where they're perpetually at war with the Soviet Union and how they just send people to the front or to the Antarctic to fight over, kind of no man's land and that type of stuff. So definitely lots of different good ideas in this one that go into it to make it for an interesting watch. Also, this movie does have just a tad of CGI in it, and it certainly does work. I especially like their flying car. It's like a car right out of the 90s, one of those ones where you gotta like roll down the window and everything like that. But this one's flying and they just have the same interior. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really funny. And so, yeah, all kind of that CGI and set design and things like that certainly come off as a positive in this one. Also, there are quite a few fights in this one as well. And they're pretty simple, just one-on-one fights with people. And it's in a room or in a hallway or something like that. But they're done pretty well. I was actually kind of worried at the beginning because it was very kind of shaky cam for that first fight, which I don't know why. Maybe it was the first fight that they shot and they weren't very confident yet. But as it goes on, it gets, less shaky cam. So all of the fights work out pretty well. And they're well choreographed and look pretty good and very interesting too. And the sound effects are okay with it. I enjoyed them for what they were. It kind of just sounded like they're hitting like burlap saps sometimes, but you know how it is. And so, yeah, the fights are also good. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this film. Well, with this one, it is a low-budget film, so of course they have, filming restrictions with what they can and cannot do. And this one has a lot of talking in rooms because of it. Every scene is just someone talking in rooms. And I know some people out there probably do not enjoy that. I think this one is enjoyable because that is the kind of Blade Runner aesthetics, right? People just kind of talking, but they are talking about cool things and interesting things. So it really isn't a problem that it's, 80 or 90% people talking in rooms. So it comes down to personal preference on that. With what we see on this channel, it's often that's the case. But again, I liked it for what they were saying rather than it just being people talking in rooms. So it's going to come down to whether you like that or not. Also, with this one, the music is fine. It's just that sometimes it's very busy and very noisy. It kind of sounds like it's two songs like playing over top of each other. Like they have one of this like kind of hard bass kind of techno music, and then they have the synth pop thing going over top. Sometimes it matches up. Sometimes it really just sounds like noise coming at you. So it's one of those things that's not the most distracting, but it still is in there. So who would I recommend this film for? Well, I think if you like neo-noir films like, Blade Runner, you can totally press play on this one. It's low budget, but it's more about that feeling and atmosphere that they give you that I think really makes this one an enjoyable watch. So if that sounds like you, then press play on this one. As for a rating, well, I'll give it the average score of 5. It certainly was a fun little watch. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.